Hi everybody, this is Craig Tiener for The Mindful Eye and The Daily Critique. Today's image was submitted by Jan, who is an advanced photographer from Seattle. Jan shot this with a 70 to 200 millimeter zoom on a full frame sensor camera, and he shot at 78 millimeters on the zoom. Jan was shooting at ISO 200 and shot wide open here at f2.8 at 1/160th of a second. And Jan was mixing some strobe here with natural light. He had a 1 by 6 foot softbox. We'll talk more about that in just a minute. And the backstory here is that Jan shot this at the Seattle Arboretum, and he said the subject is a professional model that he had worked with before. And under questions and comments, Jan said, in addition to the general critique, could I please comment on lighting, pose, and composition? So we'll definitely talk about those things. One of the things I love about this shot right away is how rich it is from a color standpoint. I'm just really loving the existing color in the scene. I think it's beautiful that Jan picked this as a location, and then and how it relates to the wardrobe that the model is wearing. It'd be interesting to hear from Jan about the wardrobe choice and sort of what was the conscious thought process. But I think however that worked out, or whatever the thought process was, it's worked out really well. I'm going to bring in a color wheel here, and I'd encourage you to have a color wheel that you can bring in. But painter or mixing color wheel is really nice to help you think about color relationships from nature. This is based on the pigments that happen in nature, and then if you want to think about these colors inside of Photoshop, you can go right to color balance and see the printers, the pairs of colors from the printer's color wheel, red and cyan, green and magenta, blue and yellow. So let's go back to the mixing color wheel, talk about color here. One of the dominant colors in this image in terms of color that's in the environment here is yellow. You've got almost a pure yellow back in here, then yellow reds, yellow oranges, yellow greens, lots of yellow in the grass, a lot more yellow in the leaves. And it's really interesting here to look and see the complement to yellow is violet, and the model is wearing this dark violet. It's doing a really beautiful job of complementing all that yellow. One of the other dominating colors in the shot is orange. You get close to a pure red here. I'll talk more about that in a minute, but there's quite a bit of orange or yellow orange in here. There it is. It's in all these leaves. So lots of orange, another really powerful color like yellow. And then you've got, even though it's very dark, blue pants here, and blue and orange play off of each other. So really nice choices here in terms of color. And the other fascinating thing to me is there's a little transitional color here that's kind of burgundy sort of color, and that harmonizes with some of the reds that are back in here, and her skin tone, pretty warm skin tone here, is also harmonizing with this environment with all of the orange and all of the yellow. The other thing that's really neat to me about color is that, Jan wanted me to comment on the composition. And I like the composition here a lot. To me, there's a real strong sense of sort of a symmetrical framing. You've got these two trees that are framing. You've got the pattern of the leaves that's framing. You have her pose that creates sort of a bookend match type of scenario. You've got the one arm that's bent, the leg that's bent, positive and negative space shapes making triangles, and then more of a relaxed arm and more of a relaxed leg. And then from a color standpoint, the background's real dynamic here, and it's doing the same kind of symmetry with getting to a red, very powerful color, but then being bookended by the greens back here. So to me, color is just gorgeous in this shot, and I just wanted to talk about it from a color theory standpoint, get specific about that. Let's turn this off. And Jan wanted me to talk about lighting, so I'll talk about that for a minute. I think Jan has done a really beautiful job of mimicking what is going to appear to the viewer to be a flow of light moving in this direction. When we think about Jan using a softbox here, just from being a professional photographer and using lighting on location and stuff, I can look at this and know that this shadow, although it looks pretty natural, is not coming from the light that's in the shade. This is the shadow from Jan's softbox. And so the flow of light is moving in the same direction as the flow of natural light. The flow of Jan's lighting is moving in the same direction of the natural light. That works really well if you're trying to work traditionally and create believability in environmental portraits where you're taking lighting out on location. The other thing that Jan's done a really good job of here, and we'll look at it in a minute when we zoom in on the image, is getting light into the model's eyes. That can be difficult. And not only is there really nice light in her eyes, there's a really nice catch light right in the center of both eyes, and that's really helping those, particularly when you can see it bigger. Jan wanted me to comment on the pose. I already mentioned how the posing is creating sort of this bookending symmetry of pairs of things that works well with the background and with the environment in here. And I'm also just liking the fact that all these lines are moving, dynamic lines, curving lines. The overall shape of the body is moving in a way that's very dynamic. You get this real nice journey that leads you out to the main subject. All that's working really well. Only thing I would say